Morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. My name's Adam Duval, and we're back a little bit later than usual for a special Warriors of Attraction. And as you may see, I look a bit different. That's because I feel different, feel powerful today. Because I've made some lifestyle changes. So, please share this in awareness and subscribe to us on YouTube if you haven't already, because I've got an excellent guest. She's talks about resilience. She's an entrepreneur. If you don't know what an entrepreneur is, we'll dive into that as well. And she is the founder of Slap the Bull. Not literally slap the bull by any chance. No, because I think the bull will react. Not nice either. I see my guests laughing in the background. But yeah, please share this and we will see you in about 30 seconds. And welcome back. And hello, Narelle.
Hey, how are you, Adam?
I am fine. How are you?
Oh, sensational. Thank you so much for having me here. I greatly appreciate it.
You're most welcome. And I see you got a little bit of a croaky throat, but hey, that's all right. That doesn't stop the message coming out.
We will get through it. Don't you worry. I actually lost my voice for like 6 months and I was a lecturer. And so let's hope that's not the case this time.
Oh, no, we can't have you losing your voice. No, don't work like that. No. Even though I could recommend ginger and lemon because I've got that tea bags as well.
Nice, yes.
Yeah, hello, Kevin Rivette. Hope you're well. Please share this in awareness. And right, I'm going to start, before we get your story out there, I want to start with some quick fire questions since you're new here. Okay. I'm going to start with my partner's favourite one. Does pineapple belong on pizzas?
No.
No, it doesn't, does it? Doesn't belong anywhere.
No fruit. No.
Cats or dogs?
Neither. I kill anything that's not a human. So that's a plastic plant. I'm pretty sure I'll make it rusty. Really bad. We have a cat. I just don't look after it if I don't have to. No. So I'm actually allergic to most animals, so that'd be probably the main reason. My eyeballs swell up. So.
Oh, that's not good. Right. So are you? So you're more of an indoor person than an outdoor, then, aren't you?
No, I actually like both. I think. Yeah.
Your best type of meditation?
Best type of meditation. I do some deep breathing and I like to listen to worship music. That's part of my having good words being spoken over myself and my spirit. So I just take some big deep breaths and I listen to that, and that kind of gets me into that space of connecting with myself and God. And so that's kind of a beautiful space that I get into every morning.
Oh, brilliant. I like aromatherapy.
Aromatherapy.
Yeah, I like that. Last one, I'm going to say, do you prefer Christmas or Halloween?
Christmas.
Oh, I hate Christmas.
But however, like if I had to choose the two, I like Christmas, but I'm the person, I'm like, it's Christmas Eve, and then we go, are we doing that present thing? That's pretty much us. Like we probably should do the present thing. Okay, let's go do the present thing. And that's kind of sounds terrible, doesn't it? I love my family.
You should try being here, because my partner always puts the tree up like end of October. I'm like, it's too early. What's wrong with you?
We in Australia in not last year, the year before, we couldn't buy a Christmas tree. And so we had to, so I have a corner in my in my entrance where we just made a light Christmas tree. And then last year we actually built a triangle with all the fairy lights through it, and it's been up ever since. So we say it's a triangular lamp during the year, and then it turns into a Christmas tree at Christmas time.
Good way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Terry, if you're watching, don't get any ideas. No. Right.
We've had a few orders. We've had a few friends come over. They're like, "Oh, I want one of those Christmas trees." So we're working out how we can monetize this Christmas tree thing.
Oh, well, yeah. Anyway, before we dive into that, because I'm sure that will get a lot of shares, which even though it should, I'm going to ask the biggest question here. Who is Narelle? Like, where's she joined from? Like, what does she do?
Yeah, certainly. So I'm from the Gold Coast in Australia. So we're on all the beaches down here, which is lovely. We've been here for about 2 years. We used to live in Far North Queensland, which is the tropics, basically. But we're down here on the Gold Coast, and I'm a business and an entrepreneur and leadership coach and trainer. And so I help young people who are just starting out in business, like they've got an idea and they want to sort of get it going, or they're young in business, meaning that they've been in business for a little while, a few years, because a business for like 5 years is still a young business. And we just help them to expand their business, or, well, my business called Slap That Bull. So we kind of look at the areas that aren't working particularly well, whether it's in their life, their business, and we help shift that.
So you're more focused on reflective practice, in a way?
Well, in a way, one of the first things we do, and I believe in, we can't change anything we're not aware of.
That's true.
And so we go in and we have a look, and we, as a external, some people we can't see ourselves. And often when we're in business, we can't see what's going on. So having an outside influence come in and have a look and help them to be aware of some of the things that maybe aren't working, or some of the things that they could do better, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. I only picked up on reflective practice because I've just recently qualified and passed my level 3 in mental health.
There you go. Well done.
Exactly. So I've learned something. There you go.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, well, I looked at what it you can be branded as once you got a level 3, and it turned out a qualified mental health therapist. So I'm like, there you go then. Right. I want to talk about your growing up. Yeah, because I've picked up on this as soon as I tapped into spiritual. I love spirituality. I pick up my guest's energy, and I feel like you're one of these. You were shy at first, but then you turn into this bubbly little girl. Am I right?
Do I shout first and then turn into a bubbly little girl?
No, like shy at first, like isolated.
Oh, shy at first. I used to be.
Yeah.
Yes, I used to be. I used to stand back and wait and see whether or not people were going to respond to me. And if they did, this was in the past, mind you, if they didn't, I'd go home and have a meltdown. I'm not necessarily that way anymore. I can tend to sit back and read a room first and then engage and find my place. But it's really is how to influence people 101, where you are more interested in others before you try and sell yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'm very much a curious person. I'm curious about where people are at, and I take my cues from what I'm gathering in a situation. Okay,
so you can read people.
Yeah, in a way, yes. It's part of what I've been studying over the past 10 years. I've studied, I'm up to my 8th qualification, I think, in 9 years, up to my 9th, sorry, in something like 9 years. So studying life, so I've done life coaching was one of the first ones I did. Then I did leadership coaching, and now I'm into professional coaching. And I've got actually a week of study next week where we go into more of, I love human behavior. I love how the brain works. Some of my study has been self-study in neuroscience and things like that, where it's just an interest of mine. But an interest in why people do what they do has been a lifelong interest of mine. And so so I didn't know which direction to go in. I finally fell into life coaching, and then that fell into this interest around neuroscience and how our brain works, and neuroplasticity and quantum physics. And so that's a lot of self-study, mainly because I don't want to go to university and write essays. I just rather just learn it and then talk about it and reference it. Here, go watch this person.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because you're not the first person who knows about neuroscience to come on, because I highly recommend you buy Jennifer Fraser's book. It's called The Bullied Brain. It only just recently got released on Amazon. So
right.
She's amazing. She's amazing.
Yeah. I listened to Dr. Caroline Leaf. She's a cognitive neuroscientist. I don't know if you've heard of her. Yeah, she's amazing. And so that's one of the people I listen to. And so when I share, I'm not a neuroscientist. I self-study this stuff. However, in professional coach, I do study there's some positive psychology and metadynamics, which is a bit like NLP.
Yeah,
with a bit of a spin on it. But what I do is I share the information and then I reference, hey, go and read their stuff or watch their thing. That's what I've learned. Here, go watch their thing. So
brilliant. Right. How was school for you? Like going through from start to finish?
Yeah, it was challenging most of the time. I say that I was bullied in that I was left out a lot of things. There were a lot of days where I felt threatened at school. So I don't call it bullying. Bullying kind of sounds a little soft to me. It was abuse. I was being abused at school. I would be followed home, threatened, like yelled at, pushed. I would like a lot of the girls would gang up and they'd make this scenario where I would be the bad one, and they'd end up following me if I had a boyfriend, and they would not be happy with that either, and they would try and split it up and bash me for liking a boy, and it was really horrible. And then it got to the first day, year 11, you know, those introduction games where you've got to go around and say something about yourself.
Yeah.
It was one of those games where you said something about, you know, what you wanted to achieve that year. And I said I wanted to make new friends. And then what you had to do is you had to repeat the person before you, or you had to repeat everybody, something like that. And every time they said mine and Narelle wants to make new friends, they'd all laugh at me. And so I picked myself up. The teacher didn't chase me. Nobody came after me to check if I was okay. But I left and I went home and I said, that's it. I'm not going back to school. I've had enough. So back then I thought I was running away, but as an adult, I saw that I was respecting myself enough not to leave myself in a situation where I wasn't emotionally safe.
Yeah, well done for doing that. Yeah, because people, like, when they get these kind of comments and laughter and bullied, they take it really personal, and that's where they lose their own resilience in a way. And it's like, how do you actually apply that good resilience to yourself?
Yeah, well, as a child, we have a different brain, so we don't process things the same way as a child. Okay, but as an adult, we can process things differently. We can look at things differently. And one of the things, especially when it comes around perhaps bullying, is I've learned that everybody has a story. Everybody's gone through something. And so what happens is we have an event that happens, or a series of events or information that we gather. And because our brains can't take in all of the information, I think there's 11 billion bits of information. Our brain can't take it all in. So it deletes it, it distorts it, and it generalizes it. Yeah. So it deletes some of the information, it distorts it. So have you ever, somebody said something and they go, did you just say blah, blah, blah? And they're like, no, that is not what I said. Exactly. And so it's distorted. And then we generalize it. So all school kids all schools suck, all men are, all women are. That's generalizing it, where one person's done something and we generalize it to every person or every situation. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's people are too quick and too easy to misinterpret to actually what's been said.
Yeah, because what we do is with that information, we have a perception, and that perception's based on our beliefs, our values, experiences, and things like that. That creates an emotion, and then we've got to put meaning to everything. Something happened, I felt this, it means that. Well, does it? And then we actually need evidence to support that all the time. So,
Yeah.
for example, I was bullied, and I generalized that to all kids are bullying. Okay, made me feel insecure. I believe nobody likes me, everybody hates me, thinks I'll go and eat worms type of mentality. Nobody cares about me. So then evidence was I chose to hang around people who continuously rejected me. I then went out and I did drinking and drugs. And as a result of that, I was rejected. Then I had a lot of male, I slept around a lot, I guess you could say. And so that caused more rejection. And so what we do is we behave in a way to prove our belief system.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. And so for me now, I kind of look and how people behave. I can just look and I go, you know what? I don't know if they were bullied. I don't know if they've had a bad day. I don't know if they're what's happening in the background. I just know that they are behaving because of a belief system. And so when we have, so I have a saying that ignorance breeds judgment, but understanding brings grace. So
I like that.
Yeah, I'll say it again. Ignorance breeds judgment. Understanding brings grace.
I'm nicking that.
Narelle Fleming. And the more that we don't understand people, the more we're not curious about why people are doing the things they're doing or why they're behaving the way they are. Perhaps they're just hurting.
Yeah.
When we get curious about them, when we hear their story, has anybody, I don't know if we can comment or whatever, has anybody seen someone or met someone, you've made a really harsh judgment, and then you've heard their story and you felt compassion for them?
I'm guilty.
Yeah.
I think we all are.
We all are, because we haven't heard their story. And even walking into a shop and the shop assistant's like rude, how do we know that they just didn't get drilled out by their boss or somebody else, or maybe they just got some really bad, terrible news and they just don't know how to process it because they've got to do their job at the same time. Mm-hmm. So we just don't know what's happening in somebody's life.
No, that's exactly, because that's where the saying comes. People are too quick to judge the book by its cover. But you should never do that.
No. But in that, I mean, we're human beings. If somebody came and yelled at me, I would react probably scared, and I would process that. I would play it over and over in my head, over and over. And one of the things that we need to learn to do is that we can take every thought that we have and we can stop it. But what we're not taught is how to do that. We're not taught that we can stop our thoughts, that we can think whatever we want. We can actually control that thinking if we've got healthy brains and able to do that, and there's nothing else in the way. But generally, most people we can. We're just not taught that we can.
Well, that's I'm going a little bit off topic there, but in a way I'm not, because taking me for example, I live with mental health. I'm proud to say it. I was bullied, I was abused, and I attempted suicide just in 2019. But that recent. And obviously we've got a Boots in our local town, and I was petrified. My anxiety was going through the roof just to go in, and because they've got this weighing scale, and you can go in and you pay like £1 or something like, I don't know what it is in America, and you can weigh yourself, test your BMI and height and stuff like that. And I was fear. I lived in fear to do it. But the other day, ever since I cut out sugar and stopped drinking and started with these herbal teas, I was on my own. I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And I just went in and I actually did it.
Well done.
No ifs, no buts. So there you go. That's where it comes, because it's not just believing what other people are saying, but it's believing what you're all saying. And 9 times out of 10, that belief is actually false, because it's all to do with your not just conscious mind, but your subconscious mind as well.
Absolutely. And most of our behaviors, especially our automatic ones, are coming from subconscious. And this is where we really need somebody else. This is asking for help with human beings who actually need one another. Counseling is actually an ancient concept. It's been around for a long time, and the stigma around going and asking for help. It's actually an interesting thing that's popped up in my conversations a lot, is asking for help. And what I suggest is that if you do have a behavior that you can't get through, find somebody who is qualified. So not your girlfriend that you go and get your hair done with, and she's, I don't know, a childcare worker or something like that. Get somebody, I'm trying to think of an analogy. Get somebody who has gone and done the training, has got the qualifications and the capacity. And that can also take a little bit of time, but get somebody, a coach, a mentor, a counselor, to help you to find and bring up. And it's not necessarily to relive, because it's not the event that was the issue. It's never the event that was the issue. It's what you believed and what you felt about the event. So you never have to bring up an event, simply how you feel about something in a belief system, because we cannot change an event. And here's something, your brain, the event that you think you saw in your brain is not the actual event.
Exactly. So what Narelle's trying to say is, obviously you can't change the past. Nobody can. But what you can change is here and now.
Yeah.
And
you can change the perception of what happened.
Yeah, obviously what happened in negative, for example, if you was abused or whatever, that's all wrong. That's probably unforgettable. But what you can do is, I'm not saying forgive that person who abused you, but forgive yourself and respect yourself to move on. Because when there's a will, there's always a way.
Forgiving somebody doesn't.
Yeah,
forgiving somebody doesn't let them off the hook. It actually lets you off the hook, because when we go, they did this and it's their fault. Well, we don't know how they were raised. And so it's perhaps their parents did something. Okay, well, we'll blame the parents, but we don't know what the parents went through, so we'll blame their grandparents. Well, we don't know what the grandparents went through, so we don't. So we could keep blaming forever, but there's no healing in blame. There's absolutely no healing in blame. And I can't even imagine somebody who's gone through something as horrific as sexual abuse or domestic violence abuse. I just know that even through the abuse that I had at school, and the emotional abuse that I've had in workplaces as well. I've been unsafe emotionally in workplaces as well. All I know is that by letting go and forgiving, just going, you know what? I don't know what's happened in their world. They probably had they probably had a really unfortunate or really destructive upbringing that's caused them to believe that this is how they have to treat people. I don't know that. So this is where understanding brings grace. It doesn't excuse them. It simply goes, so those girls that bullied me, if I look back, how do I know that the reason they weren't bullied is because they weren't getting any attention at home? What if what was happening with those girls back then is that their parents were abusing them? I don't know. And they just needed some way of releasing that anger and that need for significance. I don't know.
Yeah, and this goes back to a previous show I did with another Aussie from Newcastle, Alan Stevens, and he and the biggest question was, why do bullies bully? And if you've noticed, the quick answer to that is they only bully because something's going on in their lives. But if you think about it, if you monitor these bullies very closely, they've always got a leader. Always. And if you see them with a gang, obviously they're going to all act cocky and big and hard and stuff like that. But if they're on their own, nothing. They won't talk to you. They won't bully you. Nothing. And that's how it works.
Yeah. Well, as humans, we have 6 core needs. I don't know if you've heard this. I learned it from Tony Robbins. Don't know where he learned it from.
He's amazing.
But ultimately, we do everything to get these needs met.
Yeah.
So the need for certainty, safety, confidence, that we all need that. And when we've got too much of it, it's boredom. When we've not, I know, right? There's always an emotion. So these are emotional ones. So if there's certainty, we have confidence. Too much certainty, we get bored. So if things are the same all the time, they're bored, which moves us into uncertainty or variety. We have a need for adventure and excitement. And so enough adventure and excitement, we're no longer bored. We've got some excitement happening. Too much uncertainty is anxiety. Yeah. So when we don't know what's happening, and this is where, so for example, if you're a smoker, yes, we can get addicted to nicotine, but if there's generally if they're in a anxiety driven space, they will pick up a cigarette. Or even somebody who drinks alcohol. It's like, I had a bad day. Rah! I need something to make me feel certain. I need something to make me feel safe.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling because obviously I was brought up by my own narcissistic mother, basically saying that alcohol is the answer to absolutely everything. And I was actually guilty of believing that was true. I was. But now I've not touched the drop in about a couple of weeks.
Well done.
I know.
Yeah. So, because all we need to do is find something else that's more resourceful to fill that need. So all of these are in any relationship, whether it is your partner, whether it's your children, whether it's a work, whether it's your customers, all these needs need to be met. And when they are not met, or at least 3 of them, that's when a relationship will break down. So we've got certainty and uncertainty of variety. Then we've got significance, the need to feel important and valued. And so enough significance, and we'll feel that value and that pride and worthy and enough. And when we have not enough, it's generally anger.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. And I don't feel important to get really angry.
And what I've picked up from that, and I'm not a psychologist, but I'm doing a little bit of psychology here and a bit of NLP, but I've learned if you're angry with someone over something, like for example, if you've been abused over something, or you've had a dispute with someone over something, if you hold that to grudge for, say, 10, 20, 30 years or onwards, you're going to realise what was that for? And you're actually going to be angry with yourself, not that person.
Yeah. And it's actually, a lot of this is quite damaging, and I'll go into that shortly, how holding on to anger and all of that sort of stuff can actually damage you and make you really sick.
It does. It can. Yeah. I've noticed that because obviously I've got a pretty, you may as well say it's a library upstairs with all the books I've got. But I've read a part 2 of a stress and PTSD book, and it does actually say too much stress can actually kill you.
Yeah, so whenever so a bit of neuroscience-y type of stuff, whenever you have a thought, if it is a good, healthy thought, it will release a good chemical in your brain. It runs through to your adrenal gland and it makes it all happy, okay? If you have a negative thought about yourself, so when I was younger, nobody liked me, I'm not good enough, all of those thoughts would go up and the toxic chemical would run through my body and down to my adrenal gland. And even though I'm not stressed, it's like, oh my God, it stresses in you. You're stressing your brain, you're stressing your thinking, you're stressing your emotions. And so it runs down to your adrenal gland and squirts out cortisol so much that it gets to a point where it has got nothing. I was at a woman's supposed to be at, I don't know what it is. It was such a long time ago, about 15 or 20. Mine was at 1.8. My doctor was like, I'm not sure how you're alive. I had fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue for very seriously, like really badly, for nearly 6 years. I got to a point where I was slurring my words because I couldn't talk because I was in so much pain. And if I wasn't awake, I was I was asleep for most of it. And this is when my children were little, and so they played a lot of video games. So guess what they do as young adults? They play a lot of video games because that was the upbringing they had, because that's all I could do to keep them safe.
Yeah.
So what I learned was that when I learned how to control my thinking and change my thinking, I actually became a lot better. So I don't have the pains as often, as intensely as I do, and I don't get as tired as I used to. And so anytime my body starts to feel like it is, I go, what am I thinking lately? What have I been thinking? Because my body's not working. So that's where significance and the anger. So the more you get angry, the more toxic chemicals you're releasing in your brain, and you're actually damaging your body.
Exactly. Yeah. I've noticed that. And when you were talking about like the kids and video games, you brought back so many memories with me, because I'm actually showing my age now. I was never inside growing up, never. But I'm trying to get my kids to realise that fair enough, back in our day, health and safety was there, but it wasn't recognised. It wasn't back in the 90s and early 2000s, but now they've really clamped down on it. Crime rate's gone up a lot. And in a way, it's not safe to go out now. And I think that's one of the main reasons why kids want to stay in all the time, playing on video games or the phones.
Yeah, well, as a parent, I've got 3 young adult boys. And I know, right? They're wonderful young men, and they were fun raising them. But yeah, as a parent, we used to play in our front yard. But if you look now, there's not a lot of front patios. We've moved all of our patios to the back, haven't we?
Yeah.
And that's because we don't feel like, often as a parent, I didn't feel safe that my children were out in the front yard. So we put them in the backyard. Yeah. And, it's... Even we moved to bigger cities, like we are not riding around on bicycles. People are stupid. So you're not riding around on bicycles. We used to ride everywhere when we were younger. And it's just a different world than it was before. And that's where we can't say, well, kids these days, like, well, we're not the same kids. It's not the same society that we had when we were younger. And it's no different than when the television came in for, I guess, our parents. And, each generation has something different. And, but yeah, gaming actually covers all 6 core needs, believe it or not. So does social media. So as soon as it's not an addiction, what's actually happening is that the 6 core needs are being met by that behavior or by doing that thing. So it's really interesting.
Right. I want to tap into it. Where the hell did slap the bull come from?
Slap that bull came from exactly that. Like so there's two things really. One was that I had a lot of this thinking that wasn't right. It was stopping me from moving forward. So it was kind of like a bull. A bull is fairly just sort of stands there and it won't let you pass. And I watched we watched a clip from Wild Hogs. I don't know if you've seen Wild Hogs. There's John Travolta, and there's that time where the guys are like, yeah, let's go slap a bull. And they've got these guys encouraging them, go on, you can slap a bull, and get in there and you can do it. And so John Travolta like slaps the bull and then he runs away. And it just really, for me, I'm the encourager. Like, yeah, you know what? You can actually deal with this bull. Whether it's bull in your own life, your own thinking, whether it's bull in your business, because there are a lot of things that in business people don't deal with or even know. So we often have something that's perhaps a barrier to us moving forward. And for me, a lot of that was my thinking. A lot of that was how I was interpreting my life, interpreting others. And I needed that slapped.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we have to slap ourselves these days.
Yeah, and it's scary and it's intimidating, but when you've got a team of people around about you that encourage you, uplift you, and support you through that, the right people, again, I'm going to say the right people. Our friends can be well-meaning, but if they don't have the skills and qualities to get into their places, then it's just surface stuff, because you need more than encouraging sometimes. I've definitely... one of the one amazing thing I love about the course I'm doing at the moment is that I've got access to so many coaches, and so I put my hand up regularly going, hey, somebody mess with my brain because I'm not thinking right now. My thinking's not good and I need somebody to help me to think through this thinking that I've got going on. So a coach always has a coach.
Exactly.
Have a mentor. I always make sure my boys have mentors all through their life. Have always seeked out mentors for my boys, because I know that as a parent, I'm not the only one who can help them. And there's some things that they can't talk to me about, but it's so important. I've encouraged my boys, especially because men will tend to generally find it harder to ask for help. And so I'm instilling in my kids, it's actually okay. It's good to ask for help. And so we've always had mentors around about them, so that they have someone to talk to.
Exactly. And my kids are the same. Is obviously they've not got their mentor or anything like that, but they now know that I'm not just their dad. I father them, but I also coach them as well. And they love it. They really do.
Yeah.
Because they know that if I'm coming across, if like they're in crisis or they're pissed off or anything like that, and I come across as a dad, they'll be saying, leave me alone and all that crap. But if I come across as a coach, they'll talk to me, they'll open up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. You have to learn to swap between. And obviously what I was doing on my phone is, when you was talking, I actually found an article I actually shared earlier. And it basically says, if you're struggling and your people are just sitting there watching you struggle, they're not your people.
Mm.
They're not. Just a thought. Just a thought.
Yep. Have the right people around about you. In life, I've learnt in a lot of things, it's not the how, it's the who. There's a great book by Benjamin Hardy, he's a PhD, Benjamin Hardy, called Who, Not How. And just through that, just learning that it's not how do I got to do it, how I've got to do it. No, who's going to help you do it? When we're never designed to do life alone, we were always designed for community.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of getting yourself into a community. And some people go, yeah, but Narelle, I don't know anybody. All my friends are whatevers. It's not necessarily people you can hang around immediately. There are books that you can hang around, Tony Robbins, or I know some of those great big, personal development people, by reading their books and listening to their podcasts and listening to their YouTube channels. And they're what we mean by surrounding yourself with a different mindset and a different thinking. So I wrote a book called Unlock the Success Within You. And in that, I talk about crowd control. Who can you listen to? Who can you get around? And if you don't know millionaires, there's plenty of millionaires out there sharing their skills, their talents. We're in an information society. You can get information on anything, and you can pretty much hang out with anybody you want. Mm-hmm. You may not, and yes, we can't touch them, and maybe sometimes can't ask them questions, but you can get their thinking. You can get their values. You can model don't model. I am losing my voice. Model them as in, no, right? Don't model as in, I want to be them. Model their beliefs, model their values. That's what we model when we are looking at somebody we admire or somebody who's gone before us. We're modeling their beliefs and their values. Exactly. So the people around about us may not, and I get this all the time, like, you're the average of the 5 people you hang around. I'm like, great, I hang around my kids. No, you can go and spend time with other people on Zoom and books and video, and there's so many people you can hang around and get their thinking.
I know. How do you feel, Narelle, being in UK right now from the Gold Coast?
Good. Isn't it amazing? Like, It's such an honor. So I never take lightly that people would invite me into their space to talk to their audience. I never take that for granted. I'm absolutely grateful. But how amazing is it
Yes.
that we can go global? I've never actually left Australia, so this is amazing to leave Australia virtually.
I
And I
know.
was speaking to someone. I was speaking on another podcast yesterday, and they are in the US. And so I think it was 8:00 my time, 4:00 their time. And so what are we at? 6:00 my time and 9:00 your time.
Exactly.
And so we can have these opportunities to speak to people who have been there before you, have got different thinking. So all we have to do is change our thinking. That's all that has to happen.
Exactly.
And it seems really a very easy statement to make, but when you've got the right people, you're putting the right information in your head, it's much easier.
Exactly. And obviously we've all got our views on COVID. We really do. But the biggest words our Prime Minister's ever said was stay social distant. Not once have I ever listened to that. Not once. Because I have over the last couple of years, I've never felt so social connected ever, especially virtually, because obviously the Mental Health Warriors was born. We've had people from America, Australia, New Zealand, Singapore, Canada, all on this show, and it's like, wow.
Yeah. I think it's a silly thing for them to call it social distancing. It should have just been physical distancing, but that's a whole other thing.
That's another show.
Yeah, and I mean, COVID's been horrible. Right now, my husband's upstairs, and he actually was tested positive for COVID 2 days ago. So he's not well. He's upstairs, sleeping, coughing, and carrying on. And so, and we went through so much through COVID. Like we lost 4 businesses during COVID, and it was a really, really challenging time that I really had to work through and regain confidence afterwards to go, well, who am I to be a business coach if I can't even keep, 3 or 4 businesses going during COVID? But it was a unprecedented time and was so uncertain. And, but there's so many good things that have come out of this whole event. I mean, the fact that we can now, and when more people are getting on Zooms, or even these platforms. We're on a different platform, but this virtual platform has grown. And what it's done is I spoke to my sister who lives in the US, my sister-in-law. I've not seen her in 20 something years. And I get to just have those conversations with her.
Exactly.
And still connect. We're having a conversation. I can't physically touch, but I can still have an emotional connection with somebody because I'm having a conversation with them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there are some really good things that came out of it in regards to the growth that we've had. I think that it has forced us to connect in a greater way virtually. Like I sit here with 3 screens in front of me, and
I've got one.
I've got 3. But it has, and even now it's so funny. I live in the Gold Coast, and someone goes, "Oh, do you want to catch up?" Like, yeah, do you want to Zoom? And we're like, "Oh no, we can actually have coffee. Let's actually leave the house and meet each other."
Yeah. It's a habit, isn't it? Habit.
Yeah, it is. It's like, did you want to Zoom or did you want to go out for an actual coffee? But I think that yes, I think COVID affected everybody in one way, shape, or form, whether it was not seeing somebody, restricted to go somewhere, how we shopped, how we did everything. But if we can find good things in every situation, we really can. It's really a matter of perception. And trust me, I did not like COVID when I lost all my businesses overnight, and I did not like it at that time. But we had to relocate, and we love where we live. Our life is so much better right now where we are. We've been able to expand business so much bigger than locally. As we can see, we're now global, and it's just amazing. So there are things that, and my husband's sick at the moment, but we have great medical care and things like that here. So there's always something that we can find in amongst a situation.
Exactly. Right. Where can people find you and your book?
My book, I'm about to put it back up on my website. It hasn't. I'm in the process of building my website, and there's some things going on there. Sorry. But you can find me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. On all of the socials. You can also find me at slapthatbull.com. I also have a morning routine challenge that's going at the moment. Starts on Monday. And that's around keeping promises to yourself so you can learn self-trust. So when we keep promises, small promises to ourselves, we learn self-trust. So that when it comes to the big things, we've already learned self-trust. We've learned to keep promises. So a morning routine, which we've got 7 small habits that we encourage people to do that help them physically, mentally, and emotionally. And so we do those 7 habits, and it's about keeping promises to yourself so you can learn self-trust. So in the bigger things in life, we already know we have trust that I can do this, I can handle it. Yeah. So if you want more information on that, Facebook me, PM me. Otherwise, you go to slapthatbull.com, TURM. Is that right? The ultimate TUMR. I'll go with the ultimate morning routine. Slap That Bull, TUMR, and that's the morning routine that's going and starting on Monday.
There you go. There you go.
What my websites are.
Oh, come on, Narelle. Right.
I'm interested, Adam. What was really helpful, or what's an insight you got from our conversation today?
Getting to know you a lot more.
Yeah.
This is what we do. We bring people on from all over the world, get their stories out, because we're trying to. Okay, my cat's just opened the door. Seems like my kitchen door was literally just closed. My cat's just opened it.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, anyway, back to this. We're trying to eradicate the stigma of mental health.
Yeah. And it's so important because our mental health will be the undoing of us. We can have knowledge, we can have skill. When I first started, here's a sort of really quick story on the way that we think and the effect that it has. When I started my very first business, I had everything that I needed. I had the product, the marketing strategy, I had personal development, I had a team, I had a leader, but it was actually my thinking that made me come undone. It was, I can't do it. It's too hard. No one will buy from me. Making money is too difficult. So it was my mental thinking. Mental health is really mental thinking. Yeah. How are we thinking and whether our thinking is healthy?
Exactly.
When our thinking isn't healthy, it affects it affects our finances, our relationships, it affects our health. So the healthier our thinking, the healthier our life.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'm glad you're saying that. And I'm going to add to that is if you put out in the universe negative energy saying you can't do this, you can't do that, it's going to come and bite you on the ass twice as much.
Yeah, well, life and people respond to you. Yeah. So the question is, and you sow what you reap. You reap what you sow, You reap what you sow. And that's even in your thinking. And so what happens is if I think that I'm not good enough, I'm going to have an air or an attitude about me that people are going to respond to. Exactly. And so whatever we're putting out there, people are simply responding to the energy or the attitude we're putting out there. And we might not think what we do, but if life and all the people around you are responding the same, look at yourself and find out what's happening with you. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, thanks for coming on.
That's my absolute pleasure. My absolute honor. Thank you.
I know. And I really want to bring you back to talk about fibro, you living with fibro. I really do. Which I actually have someone booked in. So we could actually make it a panel discussion if you want. Who knows? I'll let you know. But I think it could be your 5 a.m. though.
Could be scary. It was a bit of a challenge, only because we're not well at the moment. It was a bit of a challenge, but we can see how we go with that.
Yeah, well, I'll let you know when it's happening anyway. But a bit of housekeeping, guys. Please tune in Saturday. So we're off tomorrow. I'm finally off duty. Saturday, 9 a.m. UK, when we've got the return of Art My Medicine with Dorota Chiama. And she's got someone called Maddie Kitchen, who's, I can't remember what she is. But so that's going to return. And that's it now. I'm off until next week. So have a great day, everyone. And I'll see you again.
Thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye.